Hi, everyone. My name is Amelia Phillips. Okay.
Okay, go.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Amelia Phillips, one of the poetry faculty members at in UNC Greensboro's MFA in Writing Program. And it's my honor to welcome you to tonight's event, the first installment of our 2021-2022 Visiting Writers Series, a reading by Tyree Daye, poet and author of Cardinal. Before I introduce Tyree, I want to invite all of you to check out the MFA Writing Program's new website by visiting english.uncg.edu/MFA. That's english.uncg.edu/MFA. There you can explore our program's history, see our alumni's accomplishments, and find out more about what our program has to offer prospective students. If you're well acquainted with the work we do and you'd like to support us, we encourage you to donate to our program by selecting the giving button on the left-hand side of the screen. Gifts like yours help sustain our Visiting Writers Series, the Greensboro Review, and student funding, all of which are absolutely vital to our vibrant literary community. Tonight, we welcome Tyree Daye to our community to read from his poetry. Cardinal, Daye's second book, is, to quote the book's cover, a guide through the particular American history of traveling while Black. And yet this collection, despite its departures, returns again and again, poem after poem, to Youngsville, North Carolina, the poet's hometown. Images likewise recur like mile markers, a cardinal, a turkey vulture, a squash vine, a field, quote, measured out and full of my kin, end quote. This amply detailed landscape is home to both the living and the dead, the poet's ancestors with whom he might communicate through poetry. And I just love the idea that poetry could be the art that could slip under the door to the other side. In one of my favorite poems in the collection, the speaker comes upon a field and asks it, "Can I plant my heart somewhere in your mud?" And then says, "I've carried these grandmothers and uncles for 28 years, and I need to put them down." How heavy is legacy, this collection asks, and at turns the speaker seems weary of carrying it, as with the passages I read above, and other times it is what makes the speaker want to take flight. The dead, quote, "the dead and me are birds," Daye writes. The cardinal, for which this book is named, does not migrate, and yet it is also present across the Eastern and Midwestern United States. It is here and it is there, much like the speaker's heart and mind. Tyree Daye is from Youngsville, North Carolina. He is also the author of River Hymns, the 2017 APR Honickman First Book Prize winner. The recipient of numerous accolades, Daye teaches at UNC-Chapel Hill. So please join me in welcoming Tyree Daye.
Wow, that was such a beautiful intro. Thank you so much. I know you talked a lot about Cardinal, but I'm not going to be reading from Cardinal tonight. I have new poems that I want to try out. I haven't read these to anyone, a few people, but it'd be nice to read it to a group of people. I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. I've been really missing Youngsville, North Carolina, and growing up there as a child, and all just the magic and wonder and survival that I witnessed, that I've been really interested in building a town again. And I think that's enough to say. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay, cool. Do-si-do. In purple rain boots, Yvelle started what would become our town song. She put one little foot down, then picked it up again, quickly slamming down the other one. Thunder, we sit up and call it, like in the middle of the night. Yvelle made thunder 4 times in a row before Joanne started to stop the music, but the storm's rhythm caught something corner inside, something older than the hill itself. It was made out of a language we had no home for in our mouths, but we knew it was saying, "I love you." It was known and unknown. and it made Joanne clap in the middle of the tiny ancient storm. Then the storms did as storms do in the Southeast. It got caught up in the trees, and the trees played the song on a constant loop from their leaves. It was the song the dead knew. Uncle Gig's ghost finally left the no-account chickens alone and added a low ghost hum to our Black Road song. The song sounded like Serb, sorrow, a Sunday when nobody died. Serb, sorrow, a Sunday when nobody died. For years, the song went on, and people came out of their frog croaking doors, filled their windows with animal parts from deep in the woods, the comb of a chicken, half of 3 hinds, 2 dried hearts, the jaw of a bird, played 3 bent spoons, beat a 3-legged table. They put the song sorrowfulness in a bigger bowl. They made the syrup sweeter and the Sunday longer. Serve, sorrow, a Sunday when nobody died. For 1,000 years, the song curled on. And it spoke of each person in this train tracked over town. The tomato women heard it rising from the sandy loam soil they grew their tomatoes in. They never heard the soil speak such words before, were hesitant to put the dirt in the pot, to lift it from the ground, which bounced like a house speaker. When the sorrow got to the oldest people on the hill, they said it reminded them of hungrier times, of their mothers' half-asleep songs, sung to them as navy bean eating children. The song went on and never stopped, the moon touching too much of the sun. Joanne was talking to Leroy and Leroy's father, who heard Jimmy talking his half-dog talk about the future, laughing like the liquor tasted like licorice. Jimmy said Cousin Ham's hands would turn purple. He would have to eat a field worth of cabbage, but Ham would survive October, sure as a cow calls for clovers. Jimmy said God looked like a field overwatered, and the mud sang out to him. Joanne knew, like mamas sometimes know, what the song was made of and how it got in her baby's legs. Evale was Jimmy's through and through. All that carrying around Jimmy do with the dead now gave their brown child gifts, and God had a sweet plan for her, Evale, that made her worry and made her hand move away a bit of sky. All right. Jimmy couldn't fly. Jimmy was known to knock anyone around. So when God sent the hurricane to flood his powder blue Mustang, we all slapped the darker part of our thighs and laughed. Serves Jimmy right, everyone said out loud, not afraid of Jimmy anymore, like God flooded their fear too. When my mama would see him walking to the corner store, even when the sun was at its highest, she'd slow down like she found a new God, like she would take him where he needed to go, then speed up again, leaving him running with his dog tongue hanging out of his dog mouth, his hands waving, but his feet, they stayed on the ground. I heap and I holler. Small as fall apples, we tumbled down the angel-studded hill. In autumn, we were a landslide of accidents. So close to death, we got downright animal. We crawled the mound on our hands and knees, like Leroy too drunk to stand. Like Leroy, we slushed past names, only heard of in stories of a night of hearts and wild queens. Those lonely as the only thing wounded in a field folk who surrendered to Friday night dance floors, a spirit entering a one-room boarding house. There were the unspeakable names that bruised our mother's legs and arms like a dog making ugly the day, but mostly our nights past the ghosts who I did not let touch me, though they held out what looked like palms. I come home a shapeshifter, covered in dirt. My mother saw my father and sent me outside to wash the cashier girl's hands from my face. I was banished for being a man I knew nothing about. There's a place on the hill we can go. It's hurt me in so many ways. but I think I've taught it to love me. And I'm sure as the moon raises the dead, it will roll and love you like a hill should. I should talk. Hey, all right. I don't really have a lot to say about these poems, so I'm just gonna read them. They're still really new. Friday night is for the hill. The gentle women were not so gentle when you asked them to do your hair last minute. Their fingers waited with the week. It started with a pinch of wine, then the cake arrived. Someone scrawled that God no more in the rust of all the forwards in town. The youngest of us wanted mostly to be held for a minute by our mamas or our older favorite cousin while they were being held and rocked, our hands touching the coins of light on our bodies from Uncle Duck's disco ball. In my cousin's t-shirt, I floated through the cookout eyeless with no shape, quiet as the chicken thawing on the river-colored counter. Have you ever seen Black folks shimmer on the floodlights in summer? We are beautiful. You would think we could grow out the precious ground. The matter of things. I'm telling you the plain truth. You think a town with this many poor folks peeling potatoes was unhappy, but getting off the sun bus, my mama was waiting there with the other mamas. This was ritual. We are citizens of our grandfather's hyena laugh. My house, like everyone's, had a table to sit down your troubles. When the emptiness chose us, we spit it in the river like bad wine, or held it in the wicker basket with the fish who did not mind and only embraced in their deaths. You think we all just wanted to kill over, but we greased our legs and went into our yards and made them hot, pink, purple, and beautiful. Our ceremony of Canem. You think we didn't have time to plant flowers, but every thumb here preached green. We still gather near flames because that's all our grandmothers had. You think we couldn't kill a thing, but the deer knew to run, so did the squirrels. You think we make devil horns when anyone said the Lord's name out loud. Thank you to Jennifer Chang for this next poem. Don't say love, just signal, which is a line borrowed from Al Young. Don't say love, just signal. No one said hawk. We just looked at the sky in the middle of a conversation. No one said when the melons were ripe, they were thumped and listened to for a note we liked, a note like came. No one had to tell the birds to eat the seeds we spit on the ground. No one had to tell the devil to make his rounds in his many forms, with his many things. Your mama, my mama, your mama. We never had to say it so until now, because you feel more than far away. You feel gone. We'd all wake up one morning and all the jacaranda trees were blooming and no one needed to say a thing. We were having a good time and we were so alive we lifted off the ground a bit and no one called it flying. No one told us to come down. We could do this for a long time. Love like this, beside our grandmamas watching Bob Ross make birds and bushes in her hushed living room. Every summer, a craft lesson. No one told us what's happening. No one told me to write this down. Let's see how many poems we have left. 4. All right, we got 4 left. Is that good? Is that okay? All right. Mama's poem. Mamas of their mama's God. Mamas of cantaloupe and tomato seeds. Timber cutting mamas. Mamas who bound wool in sticks, called it a hand mama said to reach back with. Mama helped cousin Tay, scared of birds all her life, touch the wing of a robin as it flew along the car. Mama's ready to flutter away from here, but mama stay. Mothball laying mamas, killing every snake in and out of their yards. Mamas of the land that's been flattened out, the Black Valley gone. Mamas who dance under the floodlights of a Friday night like pine needles do when burned by a child with their mama's lighter. Mamas who sung what they could not name, then would pass that song on to you. Mamas talking to dead husbands and nieces all night long, turning over Ancestor Hill looking for them. Mamas who rivered us clean, mamas who would and wouldn't strike their children, mamas who made themselves smooth as pond stones and circled their eyes. This is a line taken from Valerie June, the title. It could be a lonely road. Perry, even though you drank something terrible on the weekends and scared the children with your thunder-filled night boys, you had your guitar and your good night songs that you played from your porch until you began to cry and had to go inside to hide yourself, Perry. You are not alone. Aunt Ribbon, stripped of your home that you bleached every Sunday, and your white house coat and black bonnet, playing North Carolina mass choir like our town's none. Your sorry-ass husband followed his west-pointing dick and the hog smoke wind. You were taken in by your older sister, Aunt Liz, and her sugar cakes, and the house you grew up, with your daddy's ghost still walking around, fixing the stove when it goes out. You, Aunt Ribbon, are not alone. Once I felt so rotten toothed alone, until I looked at the lifeline on my hands and followed the kin map to the top of this hill and read the names on the stones, like Miss Harriet, gathering every woman in our town to a pledge wooden table to discuss the no's and thank yous you would give at the Sunday service, the low down and out men. And after those women left your volunteered house, all you had was the moonlight touching your forehead, making you know you were not alone. The branches of pines are not alone because they have possums, gray squirrels, chipmunks, and the deer the color of my mama's hands sheltering under them. For the stars, full of denial, being so far away and untouchable, swear they are alone until a child at a Friday night cookout for the first time looks up when the floodlights go down. The devil got God and some angels. God got the devil and some angels. My uncle's fishing pole has its string. The string has its hook. The hook has its red worms and sad crickets. The crickets at the bottom of the cola bottle he keeps. We know they are not alone. We hear their gathered songs. Sometimes I'll be reading, I totally forget y'all are there and I gotta look up. Forgive me. Snaking. Yeah, two more. Snaking. When I'm a deep brown snake getting my head cut off, my Uncle Boo Boo and George are alive, and I can see them there standing over me, my heroes, my mouth slowly opening and closing, my killers, the shovel between my head and tail. When I'm a dead snake, I dream of a field covered in dog bones and mice, and I am long and I am full. They cut me in half, and I am two green garden snakes making love in my mother's brown grass. In other stories, my uncles are at the corner store, and they are alive, and I have no more snakes left in me. My body can be whatever they have picked up in their hands. I am a Budweiser 40 in a brown paper bag, thick as moonlight they carry me. What am I when I'm this close to the dead come back? I know it might not rain for years if I look into their eyes. When they turn me up, they kiss my neck. And though I know their lives, I play along. I laugh a little in dead men's arms. All right, y'all, last poem. Thank you again so much for having me. This has been fun. Nice way to spend my Thursday night. Town Day on the Hill. There was a song memorized. It ended with the rattle, song itself up under blankets into dreams. People in town filled the street with a history of filling. A street crooked as Aunt Coo's pointer finger. They shouted beats, berries, carrots, plums. Outsiders came and took our grandmother's peaches home. The children performed dances decorated in duck wings made out of style drapes for the dead, tears sleeping in our eyes like round-cheeked babies as we watched. Everyone's dirt yard swept of skeleton, debris, and grief that arrives as snakes, the color of wood ash or fresh dark. The dogwoods were brought in from the wild. The limbs carried a hint of hawk, a smell more like a tongue. If we remember to rest, the fruit tree is a shade tree. It drops pecans, some pie them. It brings the people whose love is thicker than school books together, whether they're poor, sick, or scared. If we remember our uncle's lessons and pray over the pie, we remember our aunts and dads. All right, thank you.